What's up, YouTubers? Jose Quiñones de CNC here. Man, I'm super excited. Finally, the Texas weather is cooling down and I can get back in the shop to work on some projects. Because let me tell you something about the Texas heat. When it gets up to 100, somewhere between 100 and 110 degrees, it's just brutal. And I know a good bunch of you are just gonna be asking, why don't you get a fan? Well, I think I got a fan, but you know, when it's super hot outside, trying to cool off this place with a fan is like trying to cool something down with a torch. That beer is gonna be sweet. Obviously, some people love the heat and they're like, hit me with the hot lava, baby. But to me, it's like, no, that's not gonna fly. So the concept of moving hot air into an already hot shop, it didn't work out for me. So I basically go on vacation for like 4 months, June, July, August, September. I don't come here a lot. Maybe if I need a tool, but that's about it. As a result, I have spent the last 4 months watching a bunch of TV, but also in the virtual reality world. Well, okay, let's play some pinball then.
Sand people are worse.
Dude, your wife is calling you. She needs you right now. Dude, I cannot come right now. I am chilling out at the Millennium Falcon. But you know what? That is all behind us now because thanks to the cooler weather, I can come back in the shop and work on some really cool projects. Turns out, me and myself have a pentillion ideas that we want to work on. For example, I am gonna build me a CNC router. I will be designing a bookshelf, but with a secret. Or maybe two. Man, I have been working with this workbench for 2 years. I think it's time we finish it. We have talked a lot about how to enhance your power tool. How about I teach you how to make your own battery packs? You know, this workshop could look way better. We're gonna make it look awesome. I feel like it is time to revive R2-D2. With this microwave transformer and some electronics, we're gonna make the most awesome spot welder. As you can see, I am gonna be, we are gonna be busy with lots and lots of projects that are coming up in the months to come. However, before I get busy with all of this madness about making and creating, I want to clean up this place a little bit. I have a lot of clutter, a lot of things that could be improved, and that brings me to today's project. Let me show you. Behold the madness that it is the way in which I have been storing my aluminum for the past few years. This is a table I created, I don't even remember when, a long time ago. It has 2 shelves to store the aluminum that I have been accruing for probably over 20 years, I have to say. And then I have my bandsaw and my sander and just some cluttering here, not a big deal. The real beef that I have with this table is that all of the aluminum is in 2 shelves and you know, every possible shape, size, and style of aluminum is clumped together. So when I need to find something, it's basically impossible. I have to like dismantle the whole thing just to see if I have it. So ideally, I would have way much more than 2 shelves so that I could organize better the aluminum, allowing me to find it whenever I need it. But I'm gonna tell you something else. This is not only the problem that I have 2 paltry shelves, it's just literally I ran out of space. So I have some aluminum back here, in the floor, below the table, so it's really not very convenient. Not to mention, this is so heavy, I can barely move it. So clearly, the only way to fix this is by making another cart on wheels with more shelves. You know, another plausible solution could be for you to stop buying so much aluminum and then sell some of the one that you're never gonna use. Like I said, another cart with more shelves is the solution. YouTubers, the inspiration for this project comes from a picture I saw on the Facebook Marketplace many years ago. It basically involves a rack like this transformed into a workbench with wheels. It seemed incredibly clever to me, But I had a different idea. Instead of making it into a workbench, how about if I make it into a shelving system for storing material? Something I want to say about this rack. I acquired this many years ago, over 20 years ago, in one of those warehouses like a club membership. In this case, it was BJ's. It's when I was living in Rochester, New York, before 2005. I got 4 of them. They are fantastic. The thickness on this material, it is just the best you can get. I mean, for a workshop rack, of course. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna do pallet racking with this. But you know, for the Tinkerer, these are great. They have been with me for over 20 years. I think I paid something like somewhere between $35 and $55 for the whole thing. And you know, they come with MDF wood, which is junk. It basically fades away, evaporates into the chaos. And I have replaced this with plywood. And you know, I bet I will die and these things will still be out there. I have moved with this from Rochester. These things have been dismantled and put back together at least somewhere in between 10 and 20 times. That's how many times I have moved these things. And they're incredibly robust, incredibly rigid, and boy, they are great. Unfortunately, I cannot find them anywhere. I have looked, I think the brand is Gorilla. I have looked online. I don't know where to find these things again. So I'm very disappointed that you don't get stuff like this anymore, because as it is today, what you can get is not so good. So nowadays, what I have access to are these junky racks. I got this either on Sam's or Costco because that's what I have access to. I have no idea where to get the Gorillas. It's possible you cannot get them anywhere. Regardless, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if the reason why these racks are cheesier or dinkier today is because somebody thought of just cost reducing the heck out of them. Fellas, I'm looking for ideas on how we can reduce the cost on this angle and improve our margins. Sir, by using aluminum foil to form the legs, we could save a ton on cost. Are you crazy? Aluminum foil that is too thick? I'm trying to become a millionaire so I can buy a planet. You guys gonna get me bankrupt? All joking aside, these racks are okay for storing a few things, you know, not super heavy stuff, which is why I thought of repurposing one of the older ones that it just doesn't go back together as they used to. One thing you have to take into consideration, assembling this the first time, it's kind of okay. It's not very easy. It's still a pain. They're incredibly, this is just so depressing the way that these things get assembled or done, right? And if you're gonna be moving them at the third or the fourth time, they're all mangled up, so they don't go back together very well. They're a nuisance, actually, unfortunately. So the first time they're okay. After that, they're junk. So it's okay because I'm only gonna use the bottom half, and then I'm just gonna discard these junky legs. I will still have 5 shelves, so I will use those for sure. Bottom line, if you're gonna store a bunch of pillows and blankets, they may be okay, maybe some chemicals, but I wouldn't put a whole lot of weight in here. All right, so I am here with half of the rack. I want to reiterate, the reason why I think this is gonna work better than not gonna work is because although these racks are not very robust or reliable as a 6-foot structure, as a 3 or 4 foot structure is probably gonna work much better. I mean, this is still steel, so I do realize the sheet metal is not as thick as I would prefer it, but I believe it's gonna work just fine. Right now I have 3 shelves, I have to put 2 more. But you know, before we go there, this is only half of the project. The other thing is how we're gonna add wheels. And if you recall from that picture I showed you, whoever had made that structure, they created like a cart, and this guy sits on top. So that is exactly what we're gonna do. I'm gonna use channel, steel channel. This is 2x1 channel. You can get this, I think. I mean, this is 2x1 Imperial, but I guess you can get the metric counterpart if you are somewhere else in the planet. Anyway, I bet you can get pentillions of this on your local steel supply. And what I've done, I'm not going to bore you with details on how to cut it and weld it because there are other channels that are way better than that. I have already, this is like one of those cooking channels where they'll tell you, we're going to bake a cake, and then they show you the cake. Here is my structure. And of course, it's going to go like this. Whoops. So it's going to perfectly, on the bottom of course, it's going to perfectly contain the rack. And then I'm going to use casters. These are probably too big. These are not the ones I'm going to use. I'm going to do casters. However, what I'm going to do is, instead of bolting into the channel, I created these plates. And I create these coupon plates by the dozens whenever I need this. I just create a bunch. As opposed to just making 4, I make 20 or 30. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this here, and then the wheel is going to be able to be bolted. I don't like welding the casters into the structure because I change my mind a lot, and welding is so definitive. So I do realize some people are like, screw it, just do it and don't think about it. I just don't operate like that. I like to feel that if I, for whatever reason, change my mind, I can, right? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to weld the coupon threaded, and then I'll be able to attach these guys. Now the reason, something else I wanted to show, the reason why I wanted to use one of these as opposed to bolting directly into the plate is that now I have access to the 4 holes, because as you can imagine, there would only be 3 screws mounted into here, and I guess that's enough, but it's better to have all of them. And anybody can argue, well, you could have just welded a square here, but then what's the point? That's basically what I'm doing, right? I'm welding a square and getting access to my 4 holes, and that's how we're going to tackle this. Something I forgot to mention is that in order for the screws to go through the channel, we will need to create clearance holes, which is why I have this coupon with no threads that I use for the purpose of transferring the holes into the structure. So, just put the coupon where you want the threaded one to finally end, and punch your way through the structure. And then afterwards you're going to drill everything, and you're going to end up with overgrown holes so that the screws can go through. The hardware we're going to use for this interface is 3/8 by 1 inch. One thing I like to do is assemble the casters with the bolts into the coupon interfaces, because I want to make sure those bolts are going to go through the clearance holes. If you weld this first and then the welding is crooked or misaligned, man, that is going to be incredibly annoying to fix. Well, YouTubers, the cart has been welded. It's looking great. If I was a younger fellow, I would try to skateboard on this and break all of my teeth in the process. But I am past that age. So now, what we have to do is put this guy on top of this, and there is a chance that this is going to get dismantled. These shelves, they're designed to go in when weight is put on top. So when you try to lift them up, they become untangled. It's just the name of the game. So, and by the way, it is possible. I think some of these legs may collide with some of the screws. So, we'll see how it works. Let's see if I can. The lazy, you know, there is an old saying in my country, the lazy works twice. Maybe I'm gonna be working twice here. Maybe I get hurt in the process for doing something stupid. Ugh. It's almost there. Okay, it went in one side. Wow. Unbelievable. It landed perfectly. Wow, that is unbelievable. It is looking good. Now, this is incredibly high because the wheels are gigantor wheels. Yeah. I can almost play truth or dare with this. Of course, it's gonna become way harder to move once I put all of the metal. There are still two shelves that I need to position, and the trick is gonna be that once you start putting shelves in here, the wood becomes tougher to assemble. So I'm gonna have to work with that next. But you know, overall this is looking great. I am super thrilled on how this came out. So now I have, or you know, in theory, I have another shelf. All right, so I have dismantled the rest of the rack. Now we can have our 5 shelves. The tricky part of this project is that there is no way to put these shelves if you have already installed the shelf elements. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to trick the system. I'm going to put the shelf. You see, you need to angle it for it to go in. So once you have the elements, you're not going to have enough space. So I'm going to use my good old friend here, the ratchet strap. And we're going to trick the system. We're going to hold the table up, and then I am going to mount the elements, and we're going to let the board fall on top of them. You know, you don't need a PhD to figure this out. Probably you would have figured this out without me telling you, but just in case, now you know how to do it. Of course, don't strap it with all of your elements in here, because then you won't be able to assemble the elements. This could have also been done with 2 or 3 helpers holding the board while you position the struts. You're not gonna get a lot of space to hammer the struts in place, so just get a piece of spare wood and hammer into position. Now release the ratchet. Repeat the process with the other shelf and you will end up with a 5-shelf system. 5 shells, baby. Well, YouTubers, as you can see, I have already started loading the cart up with some stuff, but truly, this is only temporary. It's just because I had to clean up that workbench so that I could shoot some of my silly jokes. But you know, in the upcoming days, I'm gonna be filling this up with the aluminum from the other cart, and I am hoping that it's gonna serve its purpose. In the meantime, I'm gonna consider this project a success. In the event that it is a failure, I'll let you know in a subsequent video, which means this is the end of this video. So I want to thank you for tuning into our YouTube channel, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Fellas, if you like this channel, you have to subscribe. Help us out, we're so close to the 1,000. Or at least give us a like, fellas.